For 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there's a term in behavioral science called the weaponization of incompetence. That is, it refers to the tactic of employing deliberate or feigned ineptitude or stupidity in order to avoid an unwanted task or responsibility. And I dare say that is what the Republican leadership is involved in this committee. This is the last hearing, even though this subcommittee was launched with great fanfare, we have not had a hearing in this subcommittee, this select subcommittee, since July. And not only has so much time passed, but at today's hearing, we bring back the same two witnesses that we heard back in July. Actually, Mr. Schellenberger mentioned 9 months ago that he had been here. And so I'm just cognizant of the fact that this is an investigation of the federal government, right? The federal government. That's who we're supposed to be investigating. We have 4.3 million federal employees. We have 2 million retirees, all of whom would be available to come here and testify about their experience for these allegations of weaponization of the federal government. And yet, we bring back the same two witnesses we had many months ago, and we bring back, by her own description, a time traveler from Canada. I love Canada, by the way. And if this was a hearing on the Canadian government, I would have Canadians lined up out in the hallway, ready to testify. But the only witness here that actually experienced in the federal government and could testify to that is Ms. Troy, and I'm very thankful for her testimony. You know, I'm old enough to remember Republicans who knew what they were doing, and I miss them. I'm old enough to remember a Republican president who stood up to Russian dictators, not suck up to Russian dictators. American presidents, Republicans, who told Mr. Gorbachev, take down this wall, stood up for democracy, defended our democratic allies in Europe, didn't look for excuses that, well, the money's not in the budget, so we can't defend Europe. And that's what I see here today. Ms. Troy, the effect of incompetence in government at extreme levels, is that not itself a threat to national security?
Yes, it absolutely is.
So in our government, we recently spent 22 days without a Speaker of the House due to infighting, and we went through multiple candidates. It was like an episode of one of those reality shows. We had another candidate, and the only reason the recent Speaker got elected is because he had the distinct quality that no one really knew him. And so he was chosen as our next Speaker. And the litmus test was whether or not the next Speaker was subservient enough and adherent enough to the former president who runs the Republican Party out of Mar-a-Lago. But that's not all. In June, the House Republican leadership brought us to the verge of a catastrophic default on our national debt, one that leading economists warned would be a first in American history and undermine the full faith and credit of the United States government and lead to a global economic meltdown. So now we're facing a war in Europe, a war in the Middle East. We're facing a looming shutdown again of the United States government, and we're dealing with the weaponization of the deep state, which seems pretty shallow at this point, with the paucity of witnesses that the Republican majority has produced. I hope at some point we get back to the business that America that sent us here to do. This is not it. This is This is crazy conspiracy theory that we're pursuing here, and we ought to get back to the business that America demands us by virtue of our oath of office. And I yield back.